Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is Sunday, April the 13th, and the Cardinals are riding high after taking 2 of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies, which goes to further show and to prove all of you that my pick of them getting swept, I had no idea what I was talking about.
I think it goes to show you that one, baseball's a long season, but it's also really weird. Like they're what are they? Three. They were 3-3 this week, and two of their three wins came against Paul Skeens and Zach Wheeler, two of the top three pitchers in baseball. So,
And then Aaron Nola.
and Aaron Nola, who's not as dominant as he once was, like his velo's way down, but he's still Aaron Nola. So really good showing. I mean, the offense is still even without Ivan Herrera is still showing that um they're they can hit anybody. Like I know they had a bad game yesterday. It's a day game against Christopher Sanchez, who's a really good starting pitcher. But for the most part, the offense has been pretty damn good consistently.
Yeah. Let's get to today. We can start there, and then we can work our way backwards, and then talk about the offense and the pitching staff. I think both are notable as far as we need to discuss what's been happening after our last podcast, where we were really concerned a little bit. We can talk about that later. Great to see Libby today get a quality start: 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 0 earned runs against that Phillies lineup. Now, obviously, I know that Chip had talked today near the end of the game that Phillies, after I think they'd been on I think they'd been to Atlanta and somewhere else potentially, probably were ready to go home, but that doesn't matter. They're still professional baseball players. It was good to see Libby today. You had obviously it feels like Willie's back. We can get your comments on that. And then the J-Dub home run was just an absolute missile to left field. So that was nice to see. And Nolan Gorman seems like, the one that he is out there at the end of the game, he just missed one that was going to go about 480 feet, it felt like, and he just missed that one. So feel free to start where you would like, but that felt to me like, and Pozo keeps hitting. Your boy Pozo keeps hitting. So, I feel
What do
like
he
there were a lot
rakes?
of positives to see today. Nolan had 2 hits. Donnie continues to hit. He extended his hitting streak. So start where you'd like, but looked like a fun game at the ball yard today.
It was as complete of a game as you could ask. Like you got a shutout, two shutouts this series. We didn't even say that yet. Against, I don't care if the Phillies are tired. That's a lineup that,
Right.
and 1 through 9 can hit a home run you if you make a mistake. Well, maybe not 1 through 9. They had some guys in that lineup I've never heard of, like Marchand, their backup catcher. Why was he playing? I guess Real Muto needed a day off. But I'll start with Libertor. The thing that we've been talking about is how his pitch usage has been weird. Like he's been throwing his fastball and sinker way too much. And we've said this since he was in the minor leagues. He doesn't have a good fastball. He throws hard, but if you're relying on that fastball, it's too straight to rely on. You can sneak it by people if they're looking off speed. He didn't do that today. He threw a lot of sliders, a lot of curveballs. And the thing that I thought was most impressive was obviously, other than the fact that he only gave up 3 hits and allowed 4 base runners through 6 innings. It's great. But he struck out Castellanos twice. We've talked about his struggles against right-handed batters. That's one of the hottest hitters on the planet. He had 2 doubles yesterday and basically single-handedly beat the Cardinals. Um, and striking out twice, looking both times, I think both on fastballs, maybe one was on a slider, was really impressive. And if you look through 2 times through the rotation, he has the best ERA on the team. I think he has better than Palante. Maybe they're right neck and neck.
Got to be close. I'll look it up while you're going through Walker, because I thought we would need to talk a little bit about Walker, because that, I'm telling you, that was an absolute missile off the bat today.
Well, not surprising, right? Like he can hit the ball that hard. What was that on? Was that a hanging breaking ball that he hit out? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see him lift the ball. He's hitting the ball into the ground too much again. Like, he's been doing that, and he had a really rough series before that. I think he was 0 for 7. He got moved up to the 2 hole on Friday. That was short lived. That's because Wilson was out. And Wilson got moved down today as well. We can talk about that eventually. But yeah, I think Walker had two hit off Wheeler today, and then homer off. Was that, I don't know who that was at the bullpen? Carlos Hernandez, maybe.
It
It was,
was, yes.
yeah, impressive. I don't know. I think this lineup needs more power, and he's a guy that can provide that. Like he can. It wouldn't surprise anyone, I don't think, if he's a 20+ home run guy this year.
No,
So
not
they
at
need
all.
that from him.
To answer a question, we'll get to Palante here in a minute, but Palante 2.2 ERA so far on the year. Libby at 3.9. I assume that has been adjusted as all the offensive stats have been adjusted. So I do assume that
No,
that is correct.
there's
But
no,
it
there's
could.
no way that's all it is.
Okay, well then I could be wrong, because
Hold on, give me a second. I'll look.
no,
You
that's
look at
fine.
MLB.com.
I'm on the yeah, I'm also on there. I just looked, I just checked, and again, they could
Oh, you're
Libby
right.
stats.
You're right.
Okay, I was gonna say they could not be updated, but I think they're pretty quick with that. Uh, yeah, Pozo
Also, we're three
Pajes.
times to the
Do
rotation.
we have the largest catching mass in the major leagues?
We're actually the fattest team in baseball. by
All right.
body weight.
Shout
We
out to the
are.
Lou.
I'm not kidding.
Shout out to the Lou.
A fun fact on the catchers: we have the highest OPS from the catcher position in baseball, and
Isn't
like
that wild?
Herrera obviously had a big part in that. He was great, but Pages is batting over 300, and Pozo hits his extra base hit every game.
I'll continue to say this too, and I didn't get to watch. We were gone most of the weekend. Shout out to French Quarter Fest down here, and then not shout out to the Strawberry Festival, which we went to yesterday, which was an absolute nightmare. Anyone come down? Ponchatoula looks like a beautiful town. I don't ever need to go there for a festival like that again. Either way, um, what I will say, more shout out. Maton has been unbelievable. Like he continues to just look so good every time he goes out there. I understand it's early, but this is the guy that I was kind of talking about 2 or 3 years ago that I wanted the Cardinals to go after. And
Yep.
it's nice to now. Sometimes the Cardinals do wait a while, and then it ends up not turning out the way we want it to turn
Greg
out.
Holland.
Bingo, bingo. However, this one did seem to work out, and it's so far so good.
I'll say he could be bad the rest of the year, and I think you've already gotten your $2 million worth. Like,
But yeah,
he
that's
hasn't
a
given up a
really good
run.
point.
Like, he hasn't given up a run yet, I don't think,
No,
unless
he
I
has
missed
not.
one. I think he gave up one inherited runner in Pittsburgh, but that's it. He's been fantastic. And we were worried about the rotation and the bullpen both. They were awesome this series. They gave up 4 runs in 3 games against, I think if you were to put the Phillies lineup up, top 5 lineup in baseball, probably.
Oh, I think you have to, when you have Turner, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Harper just to start there. And then obviously you have Alec Boehm. I mean,
Like,
so like fill in the
they
blank,
had Real
whoever you,
Muto and Bone
right.
batting
Real
7, 8
Muto.
some
Correct.
games. Like,
Yeah.
that's as deep as you're going
Um,
to see in Major League Baseball.
let's work backwards because you were there yesterday. And for those of you listening, by the way, thank you so much. If you hit that follow or subscribe button on YouTube and that follow button on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast you're listening to us on, we would greatly appreciate that. Tell a friend while you're at it. But you were there yesterday, and I have been very critical. We were very critical. I think everyone in St. Louis fandom has been very critical of Miles Michaelis. Maybe he found something. Maybe it was blind squirrel theory, which I tend to subscribe. It probably is. But you were at the game. First of all, let me ask you this. Was it busy? Was it packed yesterday? Because it looked like a lot of empty seats yesterday. How was it for a Saturday day game?
It was a good
in
turnout.
St. Louis? Okay, good.
It was
Good.
a good turn. Oh, how do I put this? It was a good turnout for my expectations.
Was it
If this
around
was
the
5 years
30,000?
ago, I don't know if it was 30,000 in the stadium. It was.
Okay.
If I'll put it this way, if it was, 5 years ago, I guess 5 years ago was COVID. If it was pre people being angry at DeWitt, it would have been probably surprisingly low turnout.
Okay. Okay. I was
But
just
for
wondering how
now,
it
it
was.
was pretty solid. Friday night, I thought was pretty solid as well. And can
Okay,
I give you
good.
some stats on Miles Michaelis?
Please.
All right, in Boston, we know how bad that was. He generated 41 swings. 2 of them were whiffs. So 2 out of 41 swings in Boston were whiffs, which is just horrendous, almost as bad as you can be. 18 balls in play in 2 2/3 innings. That's almost remarkably bad. Versus Philly, 41 swings, so identical amount of swings, and he threw 5 innings. So that just means he didn't give up as many hits, obviously. 11 of them were whiffs, pretty solid, and only 12 balls in play in 5 innings. So that's way better. And to be honest with you, he got screwed on a 3-2 pitch to Kyle Schwarber that was a strike. We can talk about the umpires if you want later. They were all horrendous. All 3 of them behind the plate were like shot. I mean, we know CB Buckner's shockingly bad always, but the other 2, that was one of the worst crews I've seen in a long time. And we don't really talk about umpires on here very often. It was really bad. He could have easily had 5, maybe 6 innings if he doesn't have to throw extra pitches in that inning of 1-run baseball. Like he was one call going. Like if they had the challenge system, he probably would have given up 1 run yesterday.
Yeah.
So I need to stop saying we got to comment this.
You
Since I say
do. I
a
was
lot.
gonna say, as a former speech teacher, I do pick up on it. So yeah, we got to work on that, Mister
Yeah, well,
Mister
here we
Lawyer,
are.
future lawyer. We got to get rid of those.
Well, I'll be prepared then, and this is just off the cuff. But yeah, I almost said it again. Miles Michaelis, Miles Michaelis, like, has he found something? I didn't see any changes in his repertoire. He wasn't throwing harder. I don't know if he changed his arm angle. Once again, I was in the bleachers, so I couldn't see as well as people at home could see. But if he could, once again, like all you need from Miles Michaelis is for him to give you 5 to 6 innings consistently of 2 or 3 run baseball. And that's
Right.
not going to, like, that's, if you give up 3 runs in 6 innings, that's a 4 or 5 ERA for the year if you did it every single start. And that to me would be a perfectly fine start every single day for Miles Michaelis. I'll take 5 with what was it, 3 earned? But I mean, kind of a fluky 3 earned.
I didn't get to see the game, so I watched this morning. I love MLB's like the condensed stuff and the recaps and everything that they do, so I can kind of run through the league and get to see everything. 5 double plays from the offense. Looked like they had a lot of opportunities early. I think three straight, right? First 3 innings they had in the double
Mhm.
plays. Lukin hitting the two. By the way, Lukin hits the ball hard. Like I think I don't know what the stats and the analytics say, but I think he's a good fit right now in this whether
Yeah.
he's facing lefties or coming off the bench. He's hitting the ball hard. I know he's got around at 800 OPS, which fantastic. Yeah, I know the ball hasn't left the yard yet, but even the 2 ground ball double plays look like he hit
He
pretty
almost got one
hard.
on Friday too.
Yep. So, but I
I just
did
did
see
it
that. So
again.
the 5 double plays could have easily changed that game.
Yeah.
Okay, good for Miles. That's what I'll say. Good for Miles. I'm glad
Need
that
to
he
be
pitched
good.
well. That's good.
Like, I hate that they're going to a 6-man rotation. Not because I hate the 6-man rotation. I hate when you're doing it with Matz and Michaelis. Like, that just, to me, it's not worth it because you're playing a man down in the bullpen, which has already been taxed. And if those two aren't going to give you consistently 5 to 6 innings, then you're really screwing over your bullpen. So we'll see if that lasts very long. If it does, it probably means they're doing well. I really hate that, but if he can pitch like that, then it's fine. There was another thing that I wanted to say. Oh, the double plays. Like that's a lot of that's bad luck, right? Like
Of course.
if they Nolan hit one that was just smoked up the middle. I think Trey Turner made a diving play on it. It was a double play. Like if that gets through, like the whole game changes. Things like that. It's unfortunate. And a lot of it's also like give credit to Christopher Sanchez. One of his calling cards is he keeps the ball on the ground. He's a
Correct.
really good starting pitcher. But like I'm not too worried about that. That's like 5 double plays in a game was the most they've ever hit into in a single game in franchise history. That's not going
Well,
to
I saw
happen
one of
often.
Baker's and he smoked it up the middle, but Trey Turner's playing right by second base. I mean, even at double play depth, it
Yep.
was a hit and 2 run. I think bases were loaded when he hit it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that those are just bad luck things. Let's talk a little bit about that 6 man rotation before we get to the Friday night game. I I know they're still clinging to it. I just do not there's so many things I don't understand in this world, but add that to it when you have you mentioned it when you have a bullpen that has been taxed, going to a 6 man rotation is only now you've got 6 guys who are going to throw 5 innings tonight. Now, shout out to Libby for going 6. Palante can do it. We know that Sonny can do it, but we don't have a lot of guys who are ever going to go 7 or 8. Like that doesn't see that.
Did Palante go 7 the
That's
other
a
night?
great question. Should have looked
I think
that
he
up.
did. I
You
think he
were at
did.
the game. Feels like maybe that's an answer you should have.
I feel like
But
when you're at the game, though, it's harder to almost keep track of things. Like Pedro
but
Potts was playing second base. I had no idea.
I just I don't understand it when you're a team who needs every bullpen arm you can
He
have.
did go 7.
Okay, so there, but that's an anomaly for this pitching staff,
Right.
as of so
Yeah.
far, like in the based off
It's an
of
anomaly for
past.
most pitching staffs in
Correct.
baseball.
So I just don't understand it. It's not that I'm opposed to a 6 man rotation, but if you got 6 guys who are going 6 innings, then I'm okay with it. And maybe that is how it shakes out. I don't know that answer, but moving Matz to the bullpen tells me he's not going 6 innings. I mean, to the rotation, like he's not even stretched
No, and
out
you
yet.
you probably won't even ask him to. He'll probably go 5
That
like most.
agreed. That's what I'm saying.
And le- Sonny and Fetty are gonna have to be really good if this is gonna work. Like we can boil it down to 2 guys, like Palante and Libertor. Like we still don't know what those 2 guys really are. Like they could be good, but they could also not be. But if this is going to work, Sonny and Fetty have to go 6 innings almost every start. And I know
Yep.
that's not Sonny's thing, but he's getting an extra day of rest now every turn to the rotation than he would be getting for a 5-man rotation. So is it unreasonable then to ask him to get you 3 more outs if he's doing that? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's just I don't love it. I'll be honest with you, I don't love it, especially with it being Matt. I'm with you on that. I just
If it was
don't love that.
McGravy, I'd be more on board.
I think I still don't even truly understand going to a 6 man rotation with the 5 that you. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense to me at this point.
Ollie gave reasoning for keeping Michaelis on the team. He was basically explaining why they haven't, cut him yet. And his reasoning was their calculus is they think they'll probably go through 10 to 11 starters throughout a year. And burning one right now in the first couple weeks of April isn't a good idea. Which that's not even a bad reasoning. Like that's
It's
fair.
not. Yeah,
Um, I just did it again. God, see, now I'm in my head about it.
good.
But
That's what we want. That's why I always told my students once you start hearing it, you start eliminating it.
yeah, whatever. Uh,
Y'all got free speech advice right there.
yeah, from public Hazelwood teacher. Take that
What are you
as you
trying to
will.
say? What are you attacking public ed now too?
Yep. Yeah, let's disband it. But I don't know. I've never liked 6-man rotations. I think for the Dodgers, it's uniquely Like it makes so much sense for them because they have like two guys in their rotation who pitched in 6-man rotations their whole life because Yamamoto and Sasaki and Otani if he ever pitches again. But for the Cardinals, like you're making room for guys that aren't good. And I know this is hard to say when Michael's had a solid outing and Matt's has had a pretty solid start to the year. He wasn't great yesterday, I didn't think. It's good to see Libby. If Libby and Palante can kind of get rolling here with their last two starts, which were both shutout performances for them, then the 6-man rotation won't be a problem. But if you start getting outings like we got against the Angels and against the Red Sox, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Right. Well, let's get to and you kind of hit at it, but let's get to the reason that Pedro Pajes was playing second base when you were at the game on Friday night. Mason went to the IL. Any news as far as the severity? I haven't been on Twitter, but is there anything there that you can tell our fans about the Mason Wynn injury right now?
Our audience, not fans. I don't like that word.
Oh, sorry, that is true. Audience. My apology.
He said he wasn't going to go in the IL, and they put him on it. So I'm going to assume that it's not that bad. It's back spasms. He's had back problems the last 2 years now, which I don't love as a young guy. Nolan Gorman had the same thing. I don't know what's going on in our minor league system and why all of our guys have hurt backs all the time, but it's just what's happening. I'm not concerned about it. I'm just curious to see. Like they kept the JC up when they brought Gorman back, which I thought was promising.
Yes.
So you have two guys now that can play shortstop. Donovan played it today, so JC yesterday. I guess it's just going to be a left-handed, right-handed thing based on who's playing shortstop because you have Gorman. It does what it does do, and we said this earlier, how injuries kind of figure everything out. It gives Nolan Gorman a runway for playing time, which I like.
Now, let me ask you this, and we can talk a little bit about the game because, like I said, you were there and Palante pitched really, really well. Right now, Nolan Gorman is obviously outperforming Alec Burleson, smaller sample size. I understand that. But shouldn't that runway already be there for Nolan Gorman right now with the way he is swinging the bat? If you just look at it right now, he's second on the team. I understand less at bats. I get all that. But with a 1.333 OPS, I don't know how you keep him out of the lineup against right-handed pitching no matter what. And honestly, you could make an argument that he could be in there at times against lefties if you wanted to make that argument. I'm not making it. I'm saying you could.
Yeah, I think the runway should have been there from the start of the season. Outside of the fact that Burleson hasn't been bad by any means. I saw a stat when I was there on Friday. I don't know what it stands at now, but he had hit safely in 8 of 9 games or something like that.
He's a 646 OPS. So
yeah, I mean a couple of weeks, whatever.
Right.
Wilson's at like a 320 or whatever. He's
it's over 400 after today.
Nice. Okay, so that's a positive sign.
I guess my point is Nolan is one of your foundations of your youth, who in the offseason we talked about, and all they talked about was giving him a runway to 500 at bats if healthy. And then all of a sudden, as we go into the season, it's like, oh, well, probably not. And now when you put him in, he is hitting. And now I know there's the argument, well, you're using him in great spots, so just keep doing that. Okay, at some point, you're going to have to turn Nolan Gorman loose for a whole season and see what you've got.
He hit a double off Zach Wheeler today. Now, was it a lucky double? Yes, but still a double nonetheless. Counts. He didn't strike out today either, I don't think, against Wheeler.
Hit a home run over the weekend, right? I saw that.
No, he only played 2 games. He just came back yesterday.
Okay, my apologies.
No, you want to hear some BS? I went to 2 Cardinal games. Didn't see one home run from either the Cardinals or the Phillies. No one hit one.
Yeah.
I placed a bet on Wilson to hit a home run yesterday because I was at the game and I figured why not. And of course, he waits till today to do it. So
there you go.
Let's get to Wilson. Because yesterday, 2 hits for him yesterday. And then today, obviously, the double and the homer, which huge homer off Zach Wheeler. He's using a torpedo bat, which I did not know. I guess that's something to look at. Like, maybe that's helping him, but I honestly think he's just not swinging at the worst pitches I've ever seen anymore. I don't think the torpedo bat's going to be the reason that he turns it around.
No, I don't either. He just looked way more comfortable and way more disciplined at the plate today.
You move him back to the 2-hole.
Okay, so here's what I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of want to talk about the lineup. I am still in the camp of Jordan Walker in the 2-hole. That's where I'm going to be really honest with you. And I love the idea if you're going to hit Brendan Donovan third, and that does appear like that's what they want to do. That's fine. Like I know you and I like him in the leadoff or the number 2 spot. It's okay. If you're going to do that, I really, really, really like Jordan Walker in that 2 slot. If you want to have Nato 4 and Willie 5, I love that, by the way. If that's what you want to do.
I don't.
Okay, that's fine. I do.
Your best hitter's batting 5th. What lineup's constructed that way?
Now, can we just say that if Willie goes on a run, and Jordan doesn't keep hitting the way he is, then I'm okay with making a switch. Like, I'm not
Who's your
saying that you
best
have to
hitter
be
on this
beholden to
team?
that.
Who's the best hitter on this team?
Well, right now it's Brendan Donovan.
Who's the best? I don't. It's baseball. It's been 3 weeks. Who's the best hitter on this team?
In over his career, it's been Nolan Arenado.
No, over the last 2 years, who has been the best hitter
Okay,
on this
okay.
team?
See, I understand what you're saying.
It's
I'm
not even
simply
close either. Like it's not, and also one of the highest on base percentages on this team, one of the highest slug percentage on this team. You can't have your best hitter batting fifth.
I understand that, but right now he's not producing like your best hitter. So I'm okay with him hitting fifth. And if he continues to stay hot, then I'm absolutely okay with him moving. I've been on that Jordan Walker hit second train since before the year. So I like it.
You know what I hate about the beginning of the baseball season? If Wilson
Overreaction.
Contreras had started out like he normally does and been himself for the first month, and then he had a bad 2 week stretch, no one's talking about moving him down.
I understand that, but I mean, I don't think that it's wrong for you to move him to the five. It's like you're hitting him eighth. Like you're still hitting him
Okay,
in a
but I'm
power
saying
position in
moving
the middle of the
forward,
lineup.
we can say now he's past that slump. He's past it because he wasn't even hitting the baseball for 2 weeks. So he's not that anymore. You can't have your best hitter batting ninth. I mean, fifth. Sorry. You
Okay.
can't. You're not going to win that way. There's no way. You don't want to get into situations now. And Jordan Walker, by the way, like he's been good. He hasn't been great. It's not like he's like lighting the world on fire. He's been like 260. I know we don't care about batting average, but still, it's not like he is doing what Lars Newpart was doing for a while. I I don't see any way that you can keep Wilson down at the 5 hole. I just don't. You don't have a good enough lineup to validate that. A guy that's been
Okay.
30% above league average the last 2 years. Like, I got it for today. I mean, that made sense. But now that he's kind of like to do that off Zach Wheeler, if you're slumping still, you don't do that. You don't homer off Zach Wheeler if you're in a slump. So he's back up to the 2 for me. Also, one of the things I really like today, I'm anti stacking lefties in the lineup majority of the time. But when you're facing a guy like Zach Wheeler, who I can almost guarantee you he's going 6, 7 innings, maybe 8 against you. So you're not going to have to worry about pinch hitting and then taking Burley out for 3 at bats because you're not going to get a lefty in there until the 7th or 8th inning at least, probably.
Right.
I love it in that situation. This is why we talk about you can construct your lineup very different on different days. Like against Wheeler, I'm fine with it. Against Paul Skeens, fine with it. But if you're going up there and you're facing, I don't know, who's a middling right-handed starter, Kyle Hendricks, then no, I don't like it because there's a chance you knock him out in the 3rd inning and then, you're screwed the rest of the game because you have to take out Burleson. But I think it's nice to see Ollie not just like people love saying, let's stick with a set lineup. You want to know where you're batting. And if you're the Atlanta Braves and you have Austin Riley and Matt Olson and Marcelo Ozuna, it makes sense. But for this Cardinals team where you need to maximize your lineup and the guys you have against the guy, Zach Wheeler, I think he did it perfectly today.
Let me get your take on this because I did see this a couple times because I do still sometimes click on Twitter. I just refuse to engage. But I did see people talking about
X.
how whatever it's I don't even care whatever it's but still Twitter to me. I still call it Riverport. It's still Twitter. Like feel free to call it whatever you want to call it. But it's still Shea Stadium to me, by the way, in New York.
That's just wrong. It's a completely different stadium.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, I did see people talking about with the wind back injury that this is why you shouldn't play him a whole lot of games. And I just totally do not agree with that. I understand there is a bulky back, but he's also young. He played at 150 games, I think, last year. I don't see any reason why he doesn't play 150 plus games this year. Well, now with the 10 days out, that could change. But either way, on the pace to do that, I don't think you try to protect Mason Wynn's bulky back at the age of 23 right now, or 24, whatever he is. I didn't
No, you
understand that.
don't.
I'm not going to lie. I don't understand that take.
Yeah, you don't. It would just like it'd be like if the Angels sat Mike Trout once a series because he's gotten injured over a lot. You don't do that. You can't predict injuries, especially back injuries. Mason said he'd been dealing with it for a while, and if that's true, there's a chance the organization didn't even know because there's a lot of baseball players that have minor injuries and don't tell anyone because it's part of the game. You play through it. If they did know that he was dealing with some back stuff, then I agree. Then it's stupid.
Okay.
Like if he's telling you, hey, I have a little bit of pain here and there, but I'm fine to go, then not having a backup shortstop on the roster is really ignorant. Other than I
We
guess
agree on
Donovan.
that.
But if he hadn't told anyone, which I would say there's a pretty decent chance that he probably just wanted to go out there and play every day, especially because he was hitting well lately, and he was probably just not saying anything because he's not used to it. Then I have no problem with it. I don't think you baby players. Like there are some guys like Tyler O'Neill. Like we saw them do this with Tyler O'Neill, right? Where they really tried to keep him healthy as much as they could, and he still got hurt. So
Right. Right.
you just can't predict it. We've done this with Lars Nootbaar, and people say, like, Lars Nootbaar's played, I think, every game this year. I don't think he's had a game, maybe one. And are we gonna talk about his injury history? He's been fine so far, knock on wood.
I
Like, you just can't
agree.
control it. It is what it
Um,
is.
we didn't talk about him much, but I do think it is interesting to see what happens in this next 8 days, I guess, with Mason out, 10 days, whatever it turns out to be, with Sajasi. I mean, he's only got 17 at bats. Understood. That's essentially five
Looks good
games,
though.
but he's hitting 471 with almost an 1100 OPS. And I, his approach, I'm not Kyle, I'm not Kareem, I'm not those guys who watch hundreds and hundreds of their at bats a year, but he looks different. And I know that when he was on with somebody. I saw an interview, and he had talked about how he kind of adjusted his hands and his legs a little bit at the plate.
Mhm.
He looks different. His swing looks different. The bat path looks different. The swing path looks different. Everything looks a little bit different, and obviously, all of that always comes with experience and age as you get older and you start to figure things out. But it's nice to see. I mean, Thomas DeJacy, in my opinion, like should stay here. Like, I mean, you have plenty of
I
room that you
agree.
can get him at bats. That's what I'll say. Even
Especially if Mason,
when Mason comes back, I'm saying.
yeah, especially if Mason's back is like a nagging thing that's still just going to be there for this year. It's possible. I'm not moving him down. If Siani's gone, I think
Agreed.
Jordan
We agree.
Walker, and we can talk about catch probability and things like that. You could not have watched this season and not realize Jordan Walker looks like a different fielder. He just does.
So is it
So
okay?
I'm not. So my point is, I'm just not defensive. So I'm not replacing anyone. I'm
We
keeping Scott
agree.
in center field. I'm keeping Walker in right, Newbar in left.
Yes,
And if there's a scenario where you want to have Walker come out of the game, you can always just put Gorman at second base and move Donovan to left, and you can do it that way. I am
100%.
not. I'm not like Siani has no role on this team. I get that you might want him on the bench to pinch run, and if you don't have him, you really don't have a guy like that unless I'm missing somebody because Pozo's not going to go do it. I don't think. But I don't think Siani's really serving a purpose on this team. And I think you're seeing that with the lineup Ollie's putting out. We talked about this a lot this offseason. Is Ollie going to be compelled to put Siani in the lineup? The answer is hell no. He doesn't want to put him in the lineup
No,
at all.
he has not been. He has not been. And uh yeah, what do you think though? Do you feel like that's something they would look at doing if such I mean if the JC keeps hitting, you can't justify sending him down and keeping Michael Ciani here when you have five guys who can play the outfield on this roster.
Mhm.
And honestly, you could probably throw JC out there with a glove and he wouldn't kill you in an emergency. That would be fine.
You know where I'm at with the JC, and this might not be fair to him, but I
Probably
think
isn't.
you look at your infield right now. Okay, you have Arenado. Maybe he gets traded, maybe not. But as of right now, he's here for the next 3 years, including this year. You have Wynn, he's your shortstop. You have Donovan and Gorman at second base, and JJ Weatherholt coming at one of those positions. And then you have Wilson and Burley at first. So there is currently no runway for JC to be a starting caliber player on your team unless he really earns it with playing time. I don't understand why he would be one of the guys that you say he has to get at bats in AAA.
Right.
I don't think he does. I think if he's going to help your major league team, he's the caliber of prospect that I just keep on the team.
Agreed. We agree
And that's
100%.
not even a shade at him. I think he's a really good
No.
hitter. And I think you could use him on this team in games for even if Donovan, maybe he goes through a patch where he's really struggling against left-handed pitching and you have him on your bench late in the game. You say, you know what? So JC gives us the best chance this day to get a hit in the situation. Then Siani doesn't do that for you against a righty, against a lefty, against anybody. So I'm keeping JC on this team because I think you can find a way to get him 2 starts a week. He can play everywhere.
That's what I was gonna say. At some point, Nolan's gonna need a day off. At some point, whatever, fill in the blank. If you're going against a really tough lefty and you want to stack the entire lineup with righties, place the JC at
Right.
second base. We agree. I think that at this point, he could go 0 for his next 38 and it'll change. Whatever. But at this point, I think he's earned his spot on this team, and I'm happy for him. I'm really happy when you see a guy like that get an opportunity. We talked about this in the past. Guys who've been given opportunities so often here, it feels like, and they never grabbed it. It feels like we've got some guys grabbing it this year. And I mean, look, Pajes has done an incredible job. Like the fact that he
Awesome.
volunteered to play second base, love that. He said he
I
hadn't
ask you a
played there since he was
question.
like a kid.
Can I ask you a question? How do they not have anyone that was a better option at second base than their catcher?
Well, what were I mean, can you tell me what are your options?
They don't. I mean, because they had
That's
what was their bench? Baker, Siani, Pozo, because he came in to play catcher, and who would have been their last?
Burles. No, Burley was in the lineup, right?
You,
You
no, it
didn't
wasn't
have
really
the only other option was to drop the DH. That was your only other option. They did not have.
because Donnie was DHing, right?
Yeah.
So they had someone else on the bench too. I just thought it was funny that that's the move you make because now you're putting 2 catchers in lineup. Both of them have been really good. Pozo, we have to talk about Pozo because this guy freaking ranks, dude. He rakes. It's like not against Zach Wheeler. He's doing it against everybody. Aaron Nola, he drove in he broke the scoreless tie in the game I was
Oh,
at on
so
Friday. Dude, he's raking. I don't care. He's got I don't know if this is gonna be if it's gonna last. He's 27 years old. The odds are this isn't gonna last, but this feels like we might have some devil magic back again finally. He has a what?
it.
Guess what his OPS is?
What is it?
12 at bats. Don't care. Okay, just don't care. 1250. Batting 417 with two doubles and a homer.
I was looking
He
to
had
see what
three
did
hits
he
on Friday.
last year. What did he do at the AAA level? I was trying to look
Oh, I
that
don't
up.
know.
Yeah, he
I
had
don't care. He's just
324 last year.
maybe like what if he actually is like a decent what if they keep raking and then you tell Ivan Herrera to learn a different position?
You know what's hilarious, dude? If you really want to look at this, so in 2021 at AAA, he played 77 games. 2022, he played 65 games. 2023, 92 games. And last year, 90. And he has hit since 2022, 320, 306, 324, and 333. And then he's hit literally, if you look at it, essentially outside of a small stint in 2019, he's hit over 300 almost everywhere he's been at the minor league level.
Like, what if he's a good hitter?
What if he is Alejandro Kirk?
Well, he's not quite short enough. uh, you know what? Also, like we were talking earlier about Libby's pitch mix and how I like that he had kind of switched up his arsenal and used his better pitches more often, as all pitchers should do. That's why the Rays are so good. They just tell you, what do you throw? What's your best pitch? Throw that a lot. Uh, guess who was calling the game today? It was Pozo. He was the one
Pozo.
calling the pitches. And I'm
Yeah,
assuming, I don't think he's getting signs from the dugout. I would assume he's not. So, I mean, yeah, when Herrera's back, does he probably go down? I would guess. But it's just nice to have a third guy that you can bring up and at least count on being serviceable for now. Like, I don't have any
absolutely.
doubt when he's in the lineup that he's gonna like. There's gonna be days where he goes over for sure, but like he hasn't looked overmatched against anybody so far. So I've
No,
enjoyed it. And maybe it's a
he
hot
is
streak. It
not.
probably is, but I still it's at the very least it's fun to watch. Like I enjoy
It's
watching a big thick catcher that I've never heard of named Pozo go out there and rake. I love it, and it's entertaining.
big, thick catchers. That's going to be the new T-shirt for the Hard Nine Pod.
Pedro's big and thick too, and he's been awesome. He's hitting over 300.
Dude, what if he Wally Pips Herrera?
Okay, well, he has to hit like 4 homers then. He might. I don't know. He might. I don't doubt the man. Okay, the odds were stacked
Oh,
against him, and he's
we
here
are
making
we
an
are
all-star
pumping the
bid already through
Pozo.
14 at bats. What if
Oh
those? What if
goodness.
he's actually this good, and this is just who he is, and then we have to put Herrera in the outfield?
Stop. Just stop. Just stop.
Pozo, Wally Pips, Victor Scott. Start the hype train.
Bingo. I was gonna say. I mean, who
Puts
knows?
new bar in center.
All right. So upcoming
I'm
this
just
week,
kidding, by the way, for the people
I
that are commenting that I'm
yeah,
crazy.
because somebody will say he think that you're being serious.
He said
So you
I'm
know.
too much, and he thinks Pozo's a center fielder. That's what I'll get.
If we have well, we do. We have the Astros coming up. You get Framber tomorrow night against Sunny. You get Hunter Brown, who's been very, very good and obviously has been good most of his career. Young guy, but I mean, ever since he's been up. You get Hunter Brown versus Fetty, and then we get on Wednesday against Palante,
Eric,
the old TBD, as of listed right now per the
because Arrigetti's
MLB
hurt,
promos.
right?
Do what?
Arrigetti got hurt in his last start, right? So that would have been his
Correct.
start.
Yes.
So,
Correct.
so some good news here. The Astros have been historically bad offensively to start the year, like awful. Christian Walker's gone off to a slow start. Altuve can't play left field. Thank God he is because he's really helping my fantasy team, but he's really bad out there. They're losing Bregman and Tucker. I think we all could have predicted this. Pretty big blow to the team. They're not the same big bad Astros. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I still think they have a chance to be competitive in that division, even though the Rangers look really good. But I still think the Astros have a chance to be competitive. But I don't think by any means they're the Astros of the past decade almost that we've seen since Correa and Springer everyone came up.
Decade for
Eventually that
sure.
caught up to them because they've lost Correa, Springer, Gurriel, Tucker, and Bregman. That's like an all-star lineup that they've lost.
Paredes homers in his last two games, so that's the guy they're counting on.
Yeah, and he'll do well in the Crawford boxes, but now he's coming to Busch Stadium where he
Right.
probably will have some trouble hitting the ball out. I think it bodes well the timing that you're getting the Astros because Jordan hasn't been particularly great so far, I don't think, and Altuve hasn't done anything special. The pitching matchups are kind of interesting, right? I mean, you like having Sonny and Fetty going in this series, and then Palante. Those are probably the 3 stars you'd want to be going right now.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll say I think they're going to win 2 of 3.
Okay. All
They're
right.
playing well at home, so I like to.
Okay, so here's the problem with me making a pick here. When I pick them to do poorly, they do incredibly well. And when I pick them to do well, they lose 2 of 3 to the Angels and get swept by the Red Sox. So
Well,
I'm
we don't
kind of
hold
in a
on.
quandary with what
Can I
my
give you
picks should
some?
be here.
Can I give you some reverse psychology?
Sure.
I don't think we want that trend to last the entire year. So eventually, you're gonna have to pick for them to do well, and they're gonna have to do well, so the trend's broken.
I'm not sure if you actually use reverse psychology in the correct manner there, if we're going to be honest, but that's okay. I
Isn't
think
it
advice is all you needed to say.
reverse advice?
No, I don't think you needed reverse. I think you just needed to say advice. I think that was all we needed
No, I
right
think I
there.
think I nailed it.
Okay, so I'm intrigued. I'm gonna pick the Cardinals to win 2 of 3 also, just because I'm gonna jump back on the train because that's how the baseball yo-yo swings, and that's what I'm going to do. And I am intrigued to see what the lineup looks tomorrow night against Framber Valdez, a lefty with a deadly changeup. And I mean, I think he throws 5 pitches. I don't know, maybe 32 pitches the way he changes everything that he
It's
throws
mostly
out
sinker
there.
and curveball, but yeah.
It is, yeah. But everything just seems to drop into move. So I'm intrigued to see if they go full right-handed lineup tomorrow night. I assume obviously Sajacy will be at short. Baker's probably going to be DH.
Yep.
I'm intrigued to see what they do there with Pozo or with Pajes. I'm okay either way,
It'll
but
be Pies probably.
I assume. I mean, then you got Vic Newt. I what? I mean, I guess you got Vic Newt and Donnie from the left side, right? I guess that's
Here,
what we're
let's see
looking
what
at.
they did
Everybody else from the
yesterday.
right.
Because let's see what they did yesterday. Because I think we'll probably see almost an identical lineup if I had to guess. Unless you want to give Donnie a day off or something, which is possible, where you just give him a day and you put
And you
Gorman
put
there
Gorman in
instead. I
against
wouldn't.
Framber. I don't know if they'll do that with
I mean, if
Donnie.
Donnie needs a day, like I don't like the matchup really for either of them. So it's whatever.
Yeah,
Like at least Gorman can pop one. But yesterday against a lefty, Christopher Sanchez, who honestly they're pretty similar pitchers. They're not all that dissimilar at all with their sinker and their changeup. They went Newbar 1. I think you keep him there for sure. Baker 2, Contreras 3, Arenado 4, Donovan 5, Walker, Pages, Scott, Sajacy. I think the only thing you might see flip there would be Scott and Sajacy, but even then, I kind of like not having two lefties back to back anyway in the lineup against him. So I think you probably see that exact lineup again.
you don't think they maybe move Walker up to the 2 hole instead of Baker?
It's possible.
I think you
Walker's
could
not
see that.
historically good against left-handed pitching, but it's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think I'm intrigued by the Hunter Brown matchup too because he poses a lot of problems for a lot of teams. But when the Cardinals can come at you with that lefty heavy, like that right now, if you're Ollie, we talked about this, the flexibility of the lineups. It is a really nice thing to have. Now, obviously, you miss Mason Wynn at short. That is
Yep.
always something you're going to miss defensively, number one, but then also just the steadiness of knowing that's your number 9 hitter. He's going to get going. I mean, we saw the home run. Did he hit a home run?
And
What night did
Pittsburgh.
he? Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's what it was. I knew it wasn't too long ago. So you missed that, but against Brown, if you can attack, that might be one of those nights you see that 8 lefties, 7 lefties in the lineup, 6 lefties, I guess, 6 lefties in the lineup.
I think you'll spread them out. I'm interested to see if there's any way for them to ever get all their lefties in the lineup at the same time. Like, is
Yeah,
there a day? I'm like, if Jordan Walker's going to have an off day, right? Because he's not going to play every day. You need to make it to where you're facing a tough righty, probably. So you can put Newbar and Donnie in the outfield with Vic, and then you can have Gorman and you can have Burley both in the lineup. Like, there are days where Ollie can be really creative with this, both with righties and lefties whenever Wynn's back, if Sajacy's still on the roster, where you can plan your off days around who you're facing. If you're facing a lefty, then, give Mason an off day, maybe against a righty, and then you can put all those guys in there against the lefty. Like,
yeah,
there's
we could
ways they
talk
can
about it.
do that.
We'll talk about it obviously on Wednesday, but weird that the Cardinals only play 2 Thursday games in April and May, and one of them is this Thursday. As the Mets come, or we go to Shea Stadium for the 4-game trip
City Field.
into Gotham. I'm going to talk to Ron. Ron Svoboda comes into the golf course every day now. I think I told you that. I want to see what he has to say. If I thought he could get on the Zoom effectively, we would have him on.
How are the? I haven't even been keeping track of the Mets. Oh,
No
95.
clue.
So pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we will be out. We will be putting out our new MLB podcast tomorrow night. So that'll be our first one. We can really dig into the Mets if we want to do that. There's a lot to talk about going on around Major League Baseball. If you're not watching other games, there's a lot of good storylines so far right now in the season. And unfortunately, in our division, the Cubs are playing pretty doggone good baseball. So we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow.
Oh, speaking of which, we actually need to hit. I think that's a Cardinal-worthy news. I don't think you saw this. Justin Steele, Tommy John.
I just saw it. Literally just saw it on the old Facebook.
So I don't root for injuries, even with rivals. Like, I just don't do that. The only time I do is in the playoffs in hockey. I'm going to be honest, and I will. It's just that sport's wild. But For baseball, I don't. That sucks for Justin Steele. He's obviously looking for a contract here soon. Hasn't gotten paid yet. But that changes the calculus of the division quite a bit.
Yeah, it
Like
does. I agree.
that's a guy that could get Cy Young votes. It's no longer on what was considered the best team in the division. Like
Right.
Shota is good. Matt Boyd's been awesome for them. But it makes it a lot less scary when you go into Chicago and you don't see Justin Steele in that rotation.
We agree. And we don't have to see Kyle Hendricks anymore there. We only had to see him against the
we
with
already
Angels.
got our loss to Kyle
Right.
Hendricks this year.
Done. Out of the way.
Out of the way. It's over with. He's going to get DFA'd and they're going to bring him back and we're going to face him later in the year.
Probably 3 times. He'll throw the entire 3-game series at Wrigley later in the season.
Okay, well, last question before I go.
Yeah.
On the Steele thing. One, we didn't give our best hitters.
I know. I figure we get to that here in a minute.
Does that change how good you think the Cubs are? Like significantly?
That's a great question because I've only dug into a little bit with the Cubs on their offense, which I absolutely seem to love, and it's clicking right now. I mean, the addition of Kyle Tucker, he's just going to get paid so much money next year,
The better he is, the less likely he is to be in Chicago next year. So,
I've heard we can talk about that tomorrow also, but I have heard a lot of people talking about how I think it was DeRosa mainly. The Cubs aren't they're not going to this ownership's not signing him. Like it's not going to happen with how he's doing.
Guess who the highest paid player in Cubs history is?
In Cubs history, Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. Okay. Let's realize that contracts have gone up quite a bit since the 90s.
I don't know, dude. I have no clue.
He played for the Cardinals. I'll give you that.
Hayward?
Yep, Jason Hayward. That's the highest ever. So I think Tucker's going to get 3 times that contract. So I don't know. It's unlikely. If I were them, I'd throw him a bag right now and make him say no. But I don't know.
He'll be the Dodgers left fielder in 2026. Don't worry.
They don't even need him. They have Tommy Edman hitting 6 homers already, leading the league, by the way. My answer would be it changes the calculus quite a bit because if you look at their rotation, like their rotations wasn't great coming into the season, but you had those 2 guys that were horses you could rely on. Losing one of them, that's a massive blow.
Agreed. We agree. All right, so my pick to click right now because he's rolling a little bit, and I think he's going to get a lot of run.
Don't steal Wilson.
I'm not. Jeez, okay. It's Nolan Gorman. I don't think he plays tomorrow night against Framber, but I do think Hunter Brown and I think TBD. Like I even his swing at the end of the game, he got it off the end of the bat a little bit. But if he brings that ball just a little bit this far down the middle of the bat, that's over the right field wall. It was a good swing. So I'm picking Gorman.
He's also taking pitches again. Like we've seen this when Gorman's playing well, he's walking. If you look at a stat line, even if it's 0 for 2, but you see 2 walks for Nolan Gorman or whatever it is, then you know that he's getting close. When he'll chase everything when he's not hitting well, which most guys do. For me, it's Wilson Contreras. Like we've seen him get hot, and when he gets hot, it's a lot of fun to watch. And I have a hard time believing that homer against Zach Wheeler today, followed by a double off the wall, wasn't quite the boost for him going into the next week.
All right, I like it.
Especially against a lefty coming up with Framber.
Yeah, Framber and Hunter Brown both been very, very good. We need Sonny and Fetty to both. I mean, Fetty obviously last game, the results were better, I think, than how he pitched. But we need Sonny to step it up right now. To be honest, he needs to be really good against.
I think he was really good in Pittsburgh.
He was,
but also Pittsburgh, take it with a grain of salt.
That's it. Well, like you pointed out, the weaknesses in the Houston lineup. I mean, I think the opportunities are there to pick and attack. So hopefully it happens.
All right, last thing before we get out of here.
Yep.
I don't think we hit enough on how impressive it is to shut out the Phillies twice in the series.
Okay.
Like that's the bullpen. That's everybody. Halsey, by the way, looked dominant. It's so cool to be in that stadium when he comes into the game when it's night. That is so sick. I want him to sign him for life just so I can see that every time I go.
Yeah.
But shout out to the pitching. Munoz looked really good, I thought, yesterday. His cutter's nasty. So he's a cutter slider fastball mix. It looks pretty good. If he could be one of those guys, it's just like they always have a guy or two every year. If their bullpen's decent,
Luis Garcia.
Yeah, Luis Garcia, my guy. That ends up being good because they have good stuff and they just find something for a year. Junior Fernandez did that for like a month. So I'd like maybe it lasts a little bit longer. But if they can have a guy like that, and Kyle Leahy's kind of been that guy so far. He's been really good. He was good again tonight. I thought JoJo's been really good. And Mayton's been awesome. If Munoz or someone else can add to that mix, I think your bullpen can kind of come together and not be as tragic as we thought maybe like 72 hours ago or whenever we talked.
All right. Okay. I like it. Well, for everybody out there, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow night with our first Major League Baseball this weekend base.
If
We
you guys
have
stop
no
doing
name
that, it's so unoriginal.
around the league. We'll come up with. I'm gonna let you come up with a good title there for that.
No,
But it
I do
doesn't
everything
matter.
else. You can
We're
do
just
it.
gonna do this. Yeah, whatever. Especially the ums.
You know, you can start making the graphics. You can do that.
No one. First of all, no one wants that to happen. Not
No,
one
every
person.
name will be spelled wrong to be playing weird
Wrong.
positions.
I'm a very good speller. No one, that would not be the problem. It would look like
Spell
I
Newpar.
drew it. It would look like I drew it with my left hand.
Spelled large. Spell Newpar.
Nootbaar.
Look at him. He did it.
What are we
I
trying
thought you
to
were gonna
do
say one
here?
A.
What are we trying to do?
All
Either
right, let's
way.
get out of here.
All right, yeah. Everybody get down to the ball yard this week and go check out the Cardinals Astros. That'll be a fun one. Don't bring the trash cans. Leave those at home. They don't need those anymore. So we don't want to bring those. Either
They
way,
might have their offense playing.
we'll be back tomorrow with our look around the Major League Baseball start of the season, and then we'll be back on Wednesday night to wrap up the Astros series and to preview the Mets series. So thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Go Cards.